Parshas Shemos, second book of the Torah, begins with listing the names of the 12 tribes and counting the number of Jews that found themselves in Mitzrayim at the beginning of Galus Mitzrayim, at the beginning of the exile in Egypt. There were 70 Jews. These were the 12 tribes. And the Parsha starts off as a prelude to the story of Pare saying, look how big the Jews have become. Let's enslave them. And so begins the Avdus Mitzrayim, the Jews becoming slaves in Egypt. Rashi asks the obvious question. Rashi, in this week's Parsha, we're saying the names of the Jews and the number of the Jews. We already did that 2 Parshas ago, that who came down to Mitzrayim, the 12 tribes, their families, there were 70 Jews. Why are we again enumerating the 12 tribes and the 70 Jews if we just came to that same number 2 Parshas ago? And Rashi answers, it's to bring out Hashem's counting us again to express his love and how precious he finds the Bnei Yisrael. Because when you find something precious, you count it often and you mention it by name often, because Yidden are compared to the stars, and just like stars, when they're born, they're counted. Rashi quotes from a pasuk, and when the star fades, it's counted. So to Yidden, when they're alive, he counts them, and as they pass, as the 70 Jews or as the 12 Shvatim are passing, then Hashem counts them and names them again. Notice that the Torah and Rashi highlight 2 modes of focusing on something that you cherish. One is by counting it, and one is by naming it. Right? Yidden are cherished by Hashem, so he counts us and names us. And the Rebbe highlights a difference between counting something and naming something. When you want to bring out something you cherish by counting it, let's say someone has a lot of gold, a lot of silver, a lot of collectibles. So I count number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Each thing is important, but it's important as part of something collective. I'm trying to see the number of X that I have, so I'm counting each one of X, which is important because it reaches the sum total of X. Versus when you're naming something, you're showing how this is important not only because it's some part of a collective sum, but I'm highlighting the value that this itself has. This is its name. Its name has nothing to do with it being part of a collective group. It has to do with its own unique mila. So the Rebbe says like this: the Jews are about to enter Egypt. They're about to enter servitude. What does a Jew need if he's surrounded by servitude? He's overwhelmed by the world around him. He feels like he's in shackles. He feels just like he's completely held down and crippled. What does a Jew need to have the strength to transcend that and eventually to experience geula, to leave these bondages? For that, he needs to realize that God values him. He needs to realize that he has infinite value and infinite love and belief in him from Hashem. However, this has 2 steps. 2 beliefs. Belief number 1 is every Jew is important. But why is every Jew important? Because they're part of a collective unit called the Jewish people. Transcending the person, even if this person himself is found in bondage, seems to be stuck in the world and can't break free, he's important because he's part of the collective Jewish people. He's part of something much greater than himself. He's part of God's nation. However, the ultimate specialty and the ultimate love and belief we need to have in each Jew is not just that each one's important because they're part of a greater whole, but to be able to notice the Jew for who he is as an individual. And this Jew is special and infinitely beloved by Hashem, not just because he's a Jew and another number. That's also very important. But because look who he is and the struggles he's been placed in and the kaichas he has to overcome them and his unique contribution. We're special because we're all Jews, and we're special because of the unique talents and gifts and soul we all bring to the table. And only by realizing both of those do we have the strength to transcend the galus. It reminds me of a story that a friend of mine once told me, that someone told him when he was by the Rebbe for Tishrei. And the Rebbe during davening at some point would turn around and be mechazik and give the fist, to give the be ma'ir, try to be mechazik and strengthen and uplift everyone around him across the whole 770. And there was one such man in the back of the shul that as the Rebbe was going around, pumping everyone up during davening, pumping everyone up during a niggin, was wondering to himself, does the Rebbe really notice me? I know he notices the whole room over here, but does he really notice me? So as he was thinking that, I saw the Rebbe turn back around to his direction and give a fist. And then I believe again, he said, really, was that to me individually? And the Rebbe turns around again and gives him chizuk, elevates him, shows him that he's noticed. We need to realize that we're noticed and we're important no matter where we're holding because we're part of a collective whole. But we also need to notice that we have individual strengths that we've been gifted, and we are assets as individuals, not just as numbers, not just as something collective. A parent knows that you need to love every kid unconditionally, just no matter what he's doing and no matter what type of person he is. You don't love him because of his accomplishments, because of his personality. You love him because he's your son. However, the complete love to the child is when you're able to show him unconditional love, despite who he is, and also because of who he is, because of his unique personality, because of his unique contribution. And this is the ultimate chiba that a Jew needs to realize, and when someone really feels this and internalizes this, and when we could gift any other Jew around us to realize this, then everyone will have the strength to overcome any galus, even galus Mitzrayim, and experience real geula. Have a great Shabbos.